Astra Lost in Space is a sci-fi adventure about a group of teenagers at camp on another planet. And what is supposed to be a nice, relaxing week with team building and getting to know each other, all of a sudden admits into chaos when a mysterious orb appears out of nowhere, pulling all the teenagers into the orb, and before they know it, they're sucked back out from the orb into the middle of space. It's there that we start our journey in the story as we try to unravel this mystery of what happened to them and how are they going to survive and make it way back home. It's as if the teenagers are lost in space, hence the title of the story. And that's something I actually appreciate, that before you know it, the story picks up at a brisk pace instead of focusing on camp, and instead the chaos that all the kids are wrapped in as they try to figure out their way back home. Early on in the story, it reminded me of the popular video game called Among Us. See, there's 9 teenagers in the story, and you're not quite sure who to trust. Whether or not someone might be a traitor. Maybe the ship is falling apart through normal space travel. Maybe there's somebody purposely sabotaging the ship. Maybe it's all made up in their mind. Or maybe, just maybe, someone put them there on purpose. And that's something that's really fun in the story as you're trying to figure out what exactly is going on. The author does a great job with the dialogue, as it feels like teenagers actually arguing with each other instead of adults. Many times as I was reading the different panels, it reminded me of similar conversations I dealt with while I was in high school myself. Each person in the story has their own faults and immaturities, as they're not only trying to survive, but deal with the awkwardness of growing up at the same time. I'm not sure how accurate the general survival tips of the story were, such as, let's say I got lost in space, lost in the jungle, lost in the forest. Assuming the author did his research, I did appreciate the step-by-steps on what to do in certain scenarios, such as trying to determine what would be safe to eat. It was fun watching the characters grow as they learn that each of them have unique gifts and talents to help come alongside and support each other. None of us are meant to do life alone, and that's something I really appreciate about the story. All of us, whether we have realized it or not, have unique gifts and talents, and none of us can go through life without the help of one another, such as we learn in Astra Lost in Space. This is an encouraging quote and overall theme of the story of how important it is we need each other, the power of teamwork, and that each of us uniquely matter. It can feel very easy at times that you feel your life does not matter, or that you don't have any unique gifts or talents that can help contribute to society. And this book does a really good job of showing how absolutely wrong that is. Your life does matter. Sometimes we have gifts that we don't even realize, that we're so blinded to, that we need the help of one another to be able to see them. An area of your life that you feel is a weakness could actually be a strength. And sometimes we don't realize we have strengths until someone else points out in their life, actually that's a weakness in me, and that's something I see as a strength in you. Find someone in your life that's taken a special interest in you if you're struggling whether or not you have any talents or gifts. Sometimes it just takes a friend, a coach, or a teacher to come alongside and ask, hey, do you see anything in my life that could be used to help myself or be beneficial to help others? Sometimes we have strengths that we don't even realize. Sometimes we're blinded, and all it takes is someone to come alongside and point out as something we don't even realize we already have. Now, I do have a few qualms with the story, and the first is general stereotyping of men and women, such as, of course they're gossiping, they're girls, or of course the boys are taking the sticks and turning them to weapons, that's just what they do. I have 2 girls and a boy, and all 3 of them, when we go hiking, take sticks and turn them into weapons. I felt this was a little outdated, and I was actually surprised to see these type of stereotypes throughout the story. Now, my second qualm about the story is actually a major one, and that was forced monologues. Several times throughout the story, all of a sudden one character is forced into monologue, word vomiting their entire backstory, where everyone else just sat there and listened instead of doing something about the scenario. Sometimes I wish there was just a little more action, a little more behind the scenes of what was going on instead of one person just explaining everything in monologue tones. Now, I do understand there are 9 characters in the story, and the story itself is only 50 chapters, but I do wish that there was more character development gradually over time instead of all of a sudden hearing one person's story all in one monologue. As you can see, the story is only 5 volumes. And I think the overall story would have been much better if the author had at least 1 or 2 more volumes to the overall story. That would have given us time to experience the story through each character's lens, instead of being forced an eternal monologue each time a character describes their past or life experience event. It would have been much better if I got to live through the panels of what happened in their past, so I could actually understand and build a bond with the characters and feel the emotions of the story, instead of just being told how to bond or being told what the emotion should be like. And last, by the end of the 3rd volume, I was wondering where the story was actually going, and it felt a little bit like a slog going through the story. But because I knew it was only 50 chapters and there was only 2 volumes left, I decided to keep going with the story. And I'm so glad I did. As soon as you get to the 4th volume, the story picks up again at a brisk pace and you're back into the action. There's even a few oh snap moments as you're watching the mystery unravel of what happened to them. Now, the book is rated for teens, and overall I would agree with that assessment, as there are a few curse words, a few scenes that could be risque, as well as a few topics that would go over the head of a younger audience. Now, when it comes to the artwork, what I enjoyed the most was actually seeing the author's progression. As you look at the panels, you can tell how much sharper and additional details were given to the panels as you continue to read the story. As if the author was trying to discover his groove as he was drawing the story, and by the end, he created a masterpiece. I was really impressed to be able to watch that progression as I was reading the story. So I will be giving this story a rating of 6 out of 10. It was a story I did enjoy reading, and I did enjoy unraveling the mystery. 50 chapters is only a small investment to what became a wonderful story compared to so many other books that are well over 100 chapters. Everything does wrap nicely by the end of the story, but I do believe a few additional chapters would have given the story a much higher rating. It would have been so much better instead of being told what happened if I got to experience what happened for myself. But that's my take. My daughter, who's a very mature preteen, absolutely loved the story and read each volume faster than I was able to myself. So that's my take on Astra Lost in Space. In the comments below, would you mind sharing, if you've read the story, what's your take on this sci-fi space adventure? And if this video has been helpful in any way, would you like, comment, and share with a friend? And if you've not done so already and you'd like to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.